14th, 2018. I'm calling the meeting to order. Flag salute with Ms. Glasser.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we proceed with the meeting, I just wanted to let the public know that we had an executive session. No actions were taken. All right. Proceed with the roll call.
Mr. Amendola.
Here.
Mr. Kraus.
Present.
Ms. Perry. Ms. Glosser.
Here.
Ms. Damons.
Here.
Mr. Rosario.
Here.
Mr. What's the last?
That's fine.
Okay, Mr. Lemassier. Mayor Bloom. Here. Solicitor Corbel.
I'm here.
Engineers not, and Ron Keserowski here.
All right. Approval of the bill list dated May 14, 2018.
So moved.
Seconded. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the bill list. Approval of the bill list, addendum, May 14, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Bill list approved. Addendum approved. Approval of the minutes dated April 23rd, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? Approval of the minutes. All right, we have citizen comments regarding agenda items only. Let me check right here. No. Season that.
At the end.
Yeah, we'll be at that. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to solicitor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple items. And I know Mr. Kazarowski has an update on 1508 Bar, but just wanted to report to council that from my perspective, that we've checked all the boxes on the legal procedure, and to move forward to demolition it's really just a matter of inspecting. I think there's a check asbestos issues, and then bid for the contract on the demo cost, or make phone calls, because I think Gateway estimated to be under $10,000, so we could just get a few quotes on that. And then with respect to 96 Noble, I think Mr. Kazarowski has an update on from a code enforcement perspective. But Jordan Tax has reinstituted the tax claim procedure there, and the time period for the property owners to respond will end this week. And then we can move, if they don't answer, then we can move forward to sheriff's sale. But I'm monitoring that and working with Jordan Tax to ensure that that occurs as quickly as possible. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Moving on to the mayor's report.
Just a quick item. There's been another uptick in non-fatal ODs again this month. With everything that opportunities are available through the social system, it's still not happening anywhere in the country. And thankfully, the police and the EMS responded and were able to revive the citizens involved in this. And it's a shame that they're still doing it. That's all I have.
Okay. Good. Just real quick question. There was a news story that ran about, I think it was tires or something along those lines. Mr. Kraus, is there?
Tires being sliding on Noble Avenue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the news said that we have enforced. We've got a patrolman on the street. Everybody's safe. It was unusual.
It was a just a short section of Noble Avenue, because I talked to the chief about it, that it was between Steuben and Cross Street, just that block. Not Cross Street, not Oregon, not Union, it was just that one block that happened over a period of, I think, 3 nights. And I don't know if I had talked with the chief, was there any problems over there, any neighbor feuds? He said, no. And none of the people that had tire slash were connected in any way. So I don't,
So it appears it was just a transient event, and it was,
random.
and you guys are,
We had,
Eagle Eye Fleagle, you guys are watching the streets for us.
we had foot patrols out there in the middle of the night too, looking, so.
So our Crafton Police Department's hard at work and monitoring the situation, so if anybody saw that news story, the mayor and the police chief have it under control. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving on to the business agenda, we have a few items here under Public Works. We have a motion to award bid to Roto-Rooter Services Company for Shade Pile Joint Municipal Sanitary Sewer O&M point repairs, year 7 as recommended by the engineer, included in the 2018 sewer fund budget. Crafton Borough share, $90,982. Total cost of the project, $364,172.
Second. Moved, I'm sorry. Second.
Any discussion?
Was that for that for bid?
Yes, it's in shape off. It's all part of the consent decree, the sewer maintenance plan that's needed for the consent decree.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion carries. Motion to award bid to State Pipe Services Incorporated for Shaycog Joint Municipal O&M CCTV inspections and cleaning year 8 as recommended by the engineer, included in the sewer fund budget. Crafton Borough share of $25,770.09. Total cost of the project $182,724. No sense. All.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, and again, these items that are coming through, usually if you hear that they're coming through SHACOG, it's because it's part of the consent decree, and it's pretty much mandatory that we have to comply with this type of O&M. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. We, Mr. Kazarowski and I have been speaking with the engineer, trying to make sure that we're on top of things, and we have no questions about these motions that are appearing here and have appeared over the past. So just wanted to put everybody's mind at ease, because some of these expenses add up meeting after meeting. If there isn't any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion carries. All right. Motion to award the bid for the 2018 road program to Independent Enterprises, base bid $372,521.50. Add alternate 1 for $77,250.00 for a total of $449,771.50 as recommended by the interim borough manager, referred to the engineer, and included in the 2018 road budget.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes. Is this another new one we're using again? Is this?
Yes.
Did it get good?
It's a different contract, it's a low bid, but the engineer, when we did the bid opening, recommended we approve his bid. It was substantially lower than some of the other bidders, and he spoke to his professional work in other municipalities.
And they're out of McDonald's, so they're local.
Yes.
Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All that opposed? Motion carries. All right, motion to authorize Gateway to assist in civil engineering for the proposed Clearview Phase 5 improvements, including final design, bid, document preparation, and project award.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Yes. Is there money in the budget to do this year?
There are funds in the budgets in this year and next year.
there are funds set aside for Clearview.
And this is just for engineering,
In the
this is
budget.
not for the project. So this is
There
just
is money
engineering.
specifically for the engineer to do Clearview, or to start the engineering process
Correct.
on Clearview,
There is money in the sewer fund for this.
in the sewer fund.
Correct.
Okay,
Because this is a sewer project, it's a stormwater management project, to finish
Okay.
out that project.
I took a ride on Clearview today, and it doesn't really seem that bad at the very end. And then I took a ride on Belvedere Street, from the beginning of Belvedere all the way to the end. And it's like the Ho Chi Minh Trail. It needs attention. And I would absolutely be against spending or authorizing this motion to spend money on Clearview when clearly Belvedere Street and other streets are much, much worse. And you know, if you can find money to waste on Clearview, then you can maybe have the engineer study Belvedere, you know. I've not seen any money in the budget for anything other than we've already talked about, but I certainly would vote against this. And if you vote against it, or if you vote for it, I think there's gonna be some concerns from some people on Belvedere Street. I mean, you live on Belvedere Street. I think there'll be some concerns for some people on Belvedere Street if it means,
Yeah, just to differentiate for you, this is not a road program, this is a sewer program. If the engineer was here this evening, he'd speak to the fact that we made it all the way through the project to phase 4 without completing phase 5, and phase 5 had the remainder of storage. So, under the advisement of the engineer, we need to complete the project, because if we don't complete the project, we're not upholding
well, I'd like to
our
wait
end
and
of the
hear
deal
from him.
of, our end of the deal
I'd
with
like to
regards
wait and hear from him before I
So-
cast a vote here.
So, let me continue.
Sorry.
That motion that is on the floor right now is specifically to enable the engineer to update the engineering, because we've found that our neighbors down on 60 are being flooded out by the fact that we don't have enough storage. We've separated Bar Avenue off of Willard and Harris, and we have the rest of Clearview that's draining into the system that's undersized, because we haven't, it's technically undersized because we haven't put in the last pieces of pipe. So the pipe is acting as a tank. So in order for us to stop dumping water down on to the folks below, we need to finish the project so we're not flooding out people's basements.
So
that-
we're flooding people's basements right now
Yes.
at the end of Clearview?
down on, was it Dinsmore?
What?
McMunns, thank you. So those folks down there, their basements are being flooded because the water discharges during the heavy rain events, and that stormwater is infiltrating people's basements. And that's a situation that we created as the borough by not finishing the project. If the project had not been started to begin with, all the water would have been going into our sanitary sewer. However, due to the consent agreement that we have with the US EPA, and working with Alexander, we were told that we needed to separate the flow. So that was one of the initial projects, and it's high time that we finish the project. So with
Okay.
this is just to make sure we are putting in adequate storage, because we don't want to have to try to fix the problem somewhere else downstream. We have the opportunity to fix it at the headwaters. So that's the goal of this. If you go to the council share, you'll see this project is not, the engineering is not to exceed 15K. So then they will be providing plans to us, for us to, with a budget for us to approve. So that's the.
So that's what we're gonna spend here, is $15,000 to
Not
have
to
them,
exceed, not to exceed 15K.
not to exceed, to have them look at it. And
Correct. To make sure that the project is sized correctly, so we alleviate the flooding that we induced by doing the Clearview project. Yes, Mr. Kraus?
When would this work normally be done? Like when, if this was not on the, this motion was not on the floor, when would we get to this?
We would get to it whenever the will of council got to it.
So, I'm a little confused because it seems as though we all live here in Crafton, and regardless of what part of our town we live in, should be making improvements throughout the entire town. And so, if this motion were to hit the floor and be in regards to Bar Avenue flooding Harris, we would, in theory, authorize the engineer to do this as well, correct?
Right, just as well, we've authorized the engineer and the manager to expend funds on Ewing and coming up with solutions for Ewing.
Okay.
So this should be apolitical.
So
It's
at
a
some point in
stormwater
time, all of the stormwater runoffs in this borough are gonna have to be touched at some point.
project. Correct.
Okay. So if we do it now, or we do it tomorrow, or we did it in 2015, it's irrelevant, or we do it in 2025, it's relevant, correct?
Well, it is, I would say it's relevant because we have created a harm by not completing the project.
Right. So I was not aware that stormwater was going down onto mine, so every time it rains, like it does today, and it's going to do so for the next week, there is water that's gonna run down the side of the embankment and go down McMunn into someone's backyard?
Right.
Okay. That's unacceptable. And if I lived in McMunn, I'd be standing on that side of the dais. So I think it's important that we do our civic duty and spend the money that we've taxed our citizens to spend on these civic improvements and infrastructure improvements. And I don't think it's an issue whether or not we're wasting money on this as opposed to spending it somewhere else, because it needs to be spent everywhere in the town, period. So I'm in favor of this motion, Mr. President.
All right.
Yeah, I just feel that maybe for the coming year, when we're doing our budget, we have to consider, some of the worst streets. And talking to Mr. Kazarowski, really Belvedere is really, really bad. And this past year, I was hoping that we would get money in to do new brickwork there. And there are certain roads that I feel that we need to keep as brick roads in this town, because it sort of shows the flavor.
Yeah, so they're heritage streets.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
just like, Crafton and many of the brick streets, we need to come up with a plan to preserve those streets or conserve them, and that's more appropriate, the conservation of them. And working with the engineer, we may be able to identify a stormwater project for Belvedere,
Right.
which would aid us in that we wouldn't have to use all the funds out of the road program, and also let it be known that the general fund can be used for infrastructure programs to supplement the road program. And again, really, the road program, when it was passed, if you go back to the minutes, it was really to guarantee funding for the road program, so it wouldn't be robbed, but it did not curtail council, and should not curtail council from using general funds for that, because the reality is we set some of the mills aside, but the rest of the mills can be used for the road program or the sewer program or another stormwater management program. We don't have the ability to, under MS, we're not MS4 community, therefore we can't levy a stormwater fee at this point. Maybe something down the road will come along to legislature that will enable boroughs to do that, but at this point, boroughs that aren't MS4 can't. And then, Mr. Corbel, am I correct on that?
You are correct.
So, I wholeheartedly believe we just need to finish what we
I'd like to
started.
remind the President, there is a motion on the
Yes.
floor in relation to the stormwater engineering. Program
Yes.
out here.
Thank you. So,
So one more question. So there are documented complaints from, what street did you say? About basements being flooded because of that situation on Clearview. Is that right? They're documented? The
There's
police
no-
were called, or somebody was called about that?
Well, there's definitely overflow that comes out of the one truck that goes across. It happens in the different times of the year, but mostly during the heavy rainfalls. that crosses over 60 or Crafton Boulevard and actually travels down McMahon with a pretty large amount of water. I believe I did have a call, I guess it was a year or so ago, about the basement flooding that happened to occur on McMahon Avenue.
A year ago?
There's a documented call for backup.
So, I'd like to move forward to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that opposed?
No.
For the record, please note that Mr. Angelo is opposed. Moving forward, Alcoasand Grow Grant found Sycamore Sewer Separation Letter for, letter of interest has been accepted by Alcoasand, and the engineer will keep us apprised of any changes, or hold. So, that's that for, Public Works. Move over to Code Enforcement. We briefly touched on.
Question.
I'm sorry.
When that work is done, then I'll put the asphalt for repaving the streets with the
Which part?
Sycamore
That-
and Vine.
That, the letter of interest has been accepted. That means they accepted the idea of the project. Now we send in an application for grant money to see if it's accepted. So we're stage 2. Sycamore's actually on the 2018 in-house paving list. That's one of the streets I wanted to tackle in-house with our paver and our crew. So we'll wait to see if it gets approved and the contractor, when he does the sewer project, he'll be responsible for repaving Sycamore Street. But that, again, is only part 2 of the grant program. So.
I'm sorry to move on so quickly. Does anybody else have any questions about the Alcoasand apps? Phase 1 really is, the proposal has to be able to meet minimum criteria. You know, it doesn't meet the minimum criteria of separation of stormwater out of the system. So, and then now, since they've made that determination that there's merit, now of all the projects that have merit, which ones deserve most to be funded by Alcoasand? All right. Moving on to Code Enforcement.
Just an update on 1508 Park. Actually met up there today with the asbestos investigator. I walked through with the building with him. He doesn't feel that there's any extreme measures that need to be taken. He has some testing that needs to be done. Once that testing report gets back to me, I'll be able to work with a contractor to remediate the asbestos if need be. Once I have the asbestos remediation completed, it'll go out to bid, but my understanding will be below bid. And I will probably reach out to the contractors that have been on the Fountain Street Sycamore project and ask for quotes from them to see what the cost will be for us to demo 1508.
How about Baldwin, anything on that one?
No movement on Baldwin at this point, no.
All right. Moving forward to Planning Commission letters of interest. We've received 2 thus far, and technically the closing of that was April 30th. So we're going to review those applications, and we have another meeting next Monday. So I encourage everybody on council to take a look, and we'll take a vote next week on those that applied. All right. Crafton celebrates. Angela, would you like to come forward and present some?
Yeah, I actually have a paper for everybody. Can I pass it out?
Don't use it on a random.
I don't know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so I'm Angela Palchowski. I'm the chair for Crafton Celebrates. For those of you who may not know me, but I just passed out a piece of paper with the 2 things that we wanted to touch on tonight. So I saw cash was first on the agenda, so that's about halfway down the page. And I took some notes on here so you guys could all see those. So basically, the Celebrates Committee is a group of volunteers who meets all year round, every single month, sometimes more than that. We raise money for the festival to try to keep it going. And just to do nice things for the community. We, help out with other organizations. We do our own fundraisers. And not just in the summertime, all year round. So we're super busy doing everything. And so we wanted to make some changes this year at Celebrates, just because it's getting harder and harder to get volunteers. It's getting harder and harder to get people down to the festival because there's sports practice, there's vacations. Families are so busy, and if we don't start making changes soon with Celebrates, eventually the festival is going to deteriorate again, and we really don't want that to happen next year, the year after, or anytime. So one of the changes that we proposed this year, we talked about at our meeting, and had a majority vote on, was switching from tickets to cash at select booths. So this year we have about 14 game booths so far, and we could get some more, and then we have 3 food booths. So that's Celebrates has a food and pop booth, Strike Out Cancer sells food, and St. Philip's also has a booth. So the only thing that we really want to change is we're recommending to change from tickets to cash at those food booths, as well as at mini golf across the street. So we had mini golf last year. That was also super great to have it there. However, the biggest restraint of mini golf was that you could only do tickets to play mini golf. So I don't know how many people here would say, oh, I'd love to play mini golf, walk all the way across the street to get a ticket, come all the way across the street back to play. But I can tell you from experience last year that nobody came back to play mini golf. And it's just one of those things we're trying to make easier for the patrons who come down to the festival, and just to make things better for everybody so we can keep having people down there, try to minimize the complaints and make everybody happy. So with the cash at the food booths, the same thing. Like, I've worked at Celebrates ever since I was old enough to work in the food booth. So for the past, probably 8 or 10 years, I've been working the food booth. We have a line 20 minutes long. People come up and then they hand you a $20 bill and you say, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't take that. You have to go over to the ticket booth. And then they have to wait in line at the ticket booth. And then they have to come all the way back over to our booth, wait in line again, and then they can get their food. And it's a little bit different than other festivals do it. And I know we've had tickets for a long time, but our committee feels that it's something that needs to change. This year, we just want to start with the food booths and see how it goes. And how we want to do that is have a cash collection. So the cash is going to be exactly the same as it was last year, where all the cash gets held in the ticket booth, which has a locked door and security all night long there, which we hire out to do at the festival for all 5 days. It'll still come in there, everything will still get counted, and it'll still get sent to the bank, just like it did last year and the year before and all the other prior years. So our reasoning is just to make this easier for everybody. I know the concerns are about it. We talked to the police chief about this before we even brought up the conversation in our committee. And he told us that he supports us no matter what. When he ran Ingram Days, they had cash and had never changed it from that. So, all the other festivals have it, and we really want to take a middle ground and a step in the right direction to make some changes, because our numbers are disintegrating at Celebrates. And we put so much work and so much effort into this, and we really want to make it good for the community. So that's pretty much everything we had on that. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer?
Do you think you're gonna need more security than you do have down there now?
Well, maybe.
Cash?
So our other idea on the table is to invite beer this year at the festival. And if both of these things happen, we would definitely need to hire more security for it. But every single festival in the area has cash. And I mean, we already have our booth contracts done because we really didn't know about the little hiccup in the road to come here for it. Everybody's going to have a cash box. It's going to be secured in the middle of the booth, just like every other festival. So it's really not going to be any different than anything else, and we're going to collect as often as we can to get that money back into the ticket booth.
Hi, Angela. Has there been any consideration by your committee to adopting any kind of electronic smartphone, like what they would call a dongle, for scanning credit cards or debit cards into the booths? Because I've worked and ran events similar to, although much smaller, and anyone with a smartphone and a PayPal account, Crafton Celebrates a sort of PayPal account, and then you have it all electronically organized, and you can just scan people's cards and off they go.
We do have a PayPal account, and we accept PayPal for pretty much everything else except for the actual festival. So our goal ultimately would probably be, this is a good step for this year, next year, get the booths, like the square readers on their phones so then they can accept cards. We want to take more steps in the right direction, but we feel if we did that all at one time, the community would probably have our heads.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Right.
And I don't carry cash, so if there's folks that are down there that are just kind of, the non-cash carrying type, they
Right.
would also be not able to participate, which would be, we would be missing that, capturing that market again, and.
Yes, and that happens all the time at Celebrates, actually. A lot of people say, oh, can I pay by debit card? And unfortunately, they can't. And then the closest ATM's all the way across the street. Some people walk over there, and then some people don't. We just lose out on those sales right now. But it's definitely something that we
Well,
want
you
to
want to
do.
make it so that when someone wants to give you your money,
Right.
and take it right then and there, and you don't make them do anything besides give me your money now. So whatever hoop you need to jump through to get that money, I'm all for it.
Right, and that's what we're for, because we don't want to make them jump through hoops to get all the money and everything for Celebrates. And it's not our goal to raise a bunch of money and be this big for-profit, huge festival that just brings in all the money, does all the things. We want to make more money this year so we can invest it in the festival, have a bigger parade, have better stage entertainment, be able to hire more people to be down at the park, and then you make it better for the community, and hopefully some of the people in the surrounding communities can come and see how great it is. And then the effects on that, to bring Crafton up and make Crafton so great with little things like this. I know other organizations are starting to have more events down there. The effects are going to bring the housing market up. More people might be interested in coming to Crafton. They might pay more to live in a nice community like this. And to me, Crafton's like a tiny Squirrel Hill. And when we do stuff like this for the community, it just makes us look so much better. And there's so many good volunteers who want to do it and make it as easy as possible for everybody to participate.
Now, for the alcohol in the park insurance, who would cover that?
The football boosters would cover it with their insurance. So they're a 501c3. And then Matt Greiner couldn't make it tonight, but he can come next week if anybody has specific questions for him. That it would be completely under their insurance. All of the servers would be ramp certified, and so that means that those people are trained in alcohol preparation, ID checking. Right, they're bartenders, and they're not just any volunteer coming in, oh, my buddy's 19, he's close enough, I'm gonna give him beer. Like, that is not allowed to happen. So Matt's taken all the steps in the right direction to be able to have beer with all the right rules in place. It'll be completely under the boosters, and since he owns a Circle Inn, he's lived in Crafton his whole life, he really has the skills necessary to make this effective for the first time, because I know it can be a little bit of a scare to introduce beer to a community festival, but St. Philip's is doing it, other festivals have done the beer, we really want to try it out. We're willing to hire more police officers and security guards that we hire at the festival just to make sure that this is absolutely safe and still family friendly.
Can I ask you another question?
Mm-hmm.
You don't mind, right?
No.
Has there been any discussion in the Crafton Celebrates Committee about, not this year because it's probably too close to the festival to implement it, but contacting one of Western Pennsylvania's many local microbreweries and asking them to perhaps sponsor the event where they can bring some of their infrastructure, it would be under their insurance and their PLCB licenses, and they could then, they would have tip-ready bartenders, tip jars ready to go, and everybody gets, 2 beers at this particular booth or this particular part of the park, whereby we don't have to ask, I don't have to do a beer run for you, which is inevitably probably going to occur at some point in this first off-the-ground thing, and that way you guys can enjoy it more as opposed to worrying about, do we have enough beer over here, or these people have too much beer, et cetera, et cetera.
I personally think they'll want to take too much money if it's a small microbrewery, because there are so many of them now coming up, they're sort of all struggling. So that would be a good thing for them but I don't know for the benefit of Crafton Celebrate.
But I'm not sure Penn Brewery is struggling, or Trogs, or Great Lakes. Those breweries are very well established and have large distribution infrastructure networks. So, you know, those are the types that I've seen, you know, contribute in a local, you know, they might sponsor something akin to this where they're.
Right.
So I just didn't know if there was any consideration or thought to that.
At this time, no, and that's because all the drinks and food are run by nonprofit organizations. So, I would love to bring people in like that, but until we make that transition, we really want our nonprofits to be able to make money and fundraise. Now, we already lost 2 more nonprofits this year, so you can see how things kind of disintegrate year after year. We lost CIT, and we also lost the Girl Scouts. So neither of them are participating in Celebrates because there's so many hoops to jump through. It's hard to get volunteers for 5 whole days. So eventually, I think we'll probably switch over to vendors and things like that. So whenever that transition happens and the committee allows those types of people, it'll definitely be an option on the table to bring
I
stuff
mean,
like
a
that in.
hybrid of the two things might work is a way to say to, like say Penn Brewery, which is like a local business, and say that we will guarantee you 3 days or 5 days of foot traffic if you bring, you know, your equipment for this time, you know, between 2 and 4, let's say, it's happy hour at the bar.
Right.
For those 4 to 5 days, you know, and you get X amount of sales, and we will take the rest. Because of course, it's not in any large, you know, Penn Brewery is not interested in coming to doing something like this, I would think, and then taking all the town's money because it's not going to guarantee their product, you know, is well received.
Right. Right, and I'm sure there's some type of split. I'm really unfamiliar with it, with those kind of places. If it were a good deal, we wouldn't be able to turn it down.
Only if it was a
I'll
good
tell
deal.
you that.
Right, only if it was a good deal.
Right.
To talk on that, no, you can't do that. Brewery, it takes all the money. You cannot split the money. If the brewery's using their license, it goes to them, all of it.
Well, that doesn't preclude
And they
them
would
from
make
making
it-
a donation to the borough.
So yeah, there'd be a fee for like renting grass space then?
You can
Yeah.
do that. That's the only way that you'd be able to make money off of that. You have to actually charge them to lease the area.
Well, there's more than one way to make something like that work. And, you know, I just was wanting to know if the ideas were, you know, if they've been percolating in that way.
No, the liquor license, will do that.
Who actually is getting the license? Is that the 501c3 getting it?
Correct.
Okay.
We celebrate getting the license.
No, Arlington's football.
No, they're 501c3, they get everything. So they're just gonna be at our event, kind of doing their own thing, just like the other nonprofits.
So, Mr. Corbel,
Yes.
is there any required insurance rider or anything for this to occur? Okay,
They'll have their own insurance.
okay. The one thing that you mentioned in the office on Friday was the electricity and the need of an electrician.
Correct.
Is that something that you guys are gonna be working on, or is that something you can take action on this evening?
We don't, yeah, we're gonna have to get a licensed electrician. I don't have anything on staff,
So-
a licensed electrician, I could do that.
So when we say their own, you mean Crafton? So Crafton, Angela celebrates currently is Crafton.
Uses their own.
No, their own is us. Angela is the president of a committee, ad hoc committee, that all the liability falls on the borough the way it's currently set up. Angela does not represent another organization, another 501c3. She represents Crafton Borough in her capacity as president of Crafton Celebrates. So with that, it sounds as if council needs to take action and do some upgrades to the box and do some other things to make sure that the breakers aren't flipping and that it's safe.
Yeah, so I'll just explain while I'm here. So Crafton Celebrates is an extension of the borough through council as a separate committee. But in the past years, we fundraise all year round to do Crafton Celebrates. Like we've done yard sales at the Knights of Columbus, renting out tables at $10 a table just to get money to do this. I mean, I just handwrote 500 donation letters this month, and I sent it to just about every business you can see from the area. So we have volunteers that, I mean, they take time off work, we do all these things, but at the end of the day, we're an extension of the borough. So we're using our money, we're paying $5,000-$6,000 to an electrician every year. We're paying the people to be in the parade, we're paying for the fireworks, which you guys donated $4,000.
You said you guys paid $5,000 for electrician?
The Crafton Celebrates
Crafton
Committee,
Celebrates.
Right,
And that came out of where?
our money that we
Crafton
raise.
right, out of the fundraiser.
So
So they're going through all this tumult to raise funds,
Right,
and they're operating on borough property, they're connected to borough electricity, and the reality is, those funds should be covered by the borough, and we're going to continue to permit Crafton Celebrates to be operating through Crafton Borough.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's
You
okay.
said that's a lot of money?
So you have questions, that's good.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah,
So-
no.
so
You
from
pay 500 letters out, and then 300 of those are just going right back into just getting the lights on.
So-
That's untenable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of expenses that I don't think people realize that the committee pays for.
Right.
Like, I mean, the fireworks cost $8,000.
And who pays for that?
We pay for them. This year, though, you guys decided to donate $4,000 to us, and we were ecstatic. Like, that's the best thing that's ever happened to us. Getting $4,000 to cover half of our fireworks, it couldn't get any better.
So when you say donate, it's actually just a budget contribution.
Right, right.
Because.
Well, to us, yeah.
Right, it's a
probably
donation to the committee, but you know,
Right.
it's
a transfer of money.
yes, so at any rate, my opinion would be that we make the investments in the park facilities and make sure that the electricity is safe, and that we contract the electrician for you, and we work with the interim manager, public works director, to make sure everything's up to snuff.
I think that should be done already though, because last year during the Oktoberfest though, there was a lot of problems though with the electricity there. Things kept
Yes.
tripping the whole time, and
We were actually a group there that volunteered at Oktoberfest, and we couldn't even make half of our food because the electric kept going.
Yeah, I was unplugging your
Right.
pretzel maker at one point, and then running an electrical cord around the tent into the amphitheater, and then somebody would yell, unplug it.
Right.
We do that.
And we had to do that for like 3 hours or however long it was. And Celebrates is the same way. We have refrigerators, freezers, we have French fryers, we have pizza ovens. We have all this stuff, and I mean, luckily we have an electrician. Well, he passed away this past year, so we don't have him anymore. But we had an electrician who's able to be down there, and that stuff goes wrong. He can help us fix it right away, and we can keep going. But part of the problem why we have so much trouble finding an electrician is the electric at the park isn't up to par with what a lot of electricians would feel comfortable working on. And so they would go down to the park, we would try to get a bid from them, and they would say, I'm not getting my hands on this, like, this is a community event, if somebody gets hurt, I don't wanna be involved, because some of this other stuff that's already here isn't up to code, I know better.
Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
So, in other words, well, this is not a question, it's more of a statement. So, we have like a system in the park that doesn't function correctly, is this is what I understand?
What it is though, you have an electric box, an outlet,
Right.
that wasn't installed and put in to handle 4 deep fryers,
Right.
and I mean, it's overloaded. So, I mean, what I'm gonna do is, council charged me to go out and find an electrician to update the box that's in place now.
Well, I mean, I guess it's, like, from I'm just speaking for myself, but as a member of this body, I think it's absolutely important to invest in that, because, where the Crafton Celebrates gets bigger, or we add more big Oktoberfest, I mean, we
Right.
have to be sure we have the baseline to even do these festivals, or
Right.
we have the infrastructure. We need to make sure that we're investing in it properly, so that you guys can go do your thing and not get shot.
And if there was an investment like that, we would have to put $5,000-$6,000 every single year on these Band-Aid fixes and for these one-time events.
Well, not to interrupt and cut you off, we're going to address the concern with a motion this evening and move this forward. So I
Okay.
appreciate you bringing it to my attention on
Great.
Friday and bringing it to the rest of council this evening, and we're going to move forward.
Okay, thank you.
one quick thing though, actually, going back to what Brett mentioned earlier though, about the payment system, though, people don't carry cash,
Mm-hmm.
and the thought of using credit cards, debit cards though, and the possible of the Square thing, would it be possible maybe this year though, to just have the ticket booth still, but just for credit cards and debit cards, that way they can use theirs and get the ticket, so that way either go get cash, Or go to ticket booth?
We would have to look into that, that's probably possible.
That was just one thing.
Yeah.
You get multiple and then they maybe will start to patches that.
So the ticket booth is still selling tickets for the games, so it'll still be open. So we would just have to look into adding how to take credit cards, because we've never done that before. So on our committee would have to
Can you
figure
rent
that
one of
out.
those little ATMs for a week? Like they have in
Do you remember
gas
why we couldn't do
Because
that?
we didn't make enough money.
Oh, because you need enough money to be worked out the ATM.
I mean, I've used those little Squarespace things, they are amazing, because there's
Yeah.
no money involved, and you have electronic, sorry.
So the problem with that, we do use PayPal for, like, we have our murder mystery dinners and things like that. Somebody come in, we can do their credit card. But at the park, you have to have a data port connection to do that, and the park isn't set up for us to
Wi-Fi.
to be able to do the
Wi-Fi, correct,
Wi-Fi to use the PayPal account. So if we could, I mean, and then we would be able to have that in the ticket booth to do, if somebody wanted $20 worth of tickets, if we had the ability to do the PayPal, then,
Well, it would be a
That would be
solution
an
for
option.
future uses as
Right.
well. I mean, everybody could use it, Oktoberfest or, whatever. Could use the amphitheater and the park and at least have some kind of coverage where if they bring their own, even the food trucks came down there, they're gonna need somewhere to run.
Correct. Yeah, it would be good for everybody for the future events, for sure.
Mr. President. Mr. President?
He's bringing something down.
I'm trying to write the motion.
Mr. Vice President.
If to do the PayPal, is it all you need is internet access? Because I do that for my own business, so just internet access, I can do the credit card. Because I know that Mr. Quadras was saying though that they fixed the Wi-Fi over at the park now,
At the pool.
at the pool.
right.
Okay.
And we do use that Wi-Fi at the pool for our race.
Okay.
Because we use, and we're able to use that Wi-Fi at the pool, but we've never been able to use it consistently in the ticket booth.
Is it because of the location?
Yes.
They updated it though, it's just a brand new update, so
Okay.
it might be a little better than what has been passed, so.
Yeah, we can.
Just last week.
So that would be the option though, that we don't lose the sale at all. Make it easier. Next question. Go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name's Roy Neiman. I'm a systems programmer, database administrator. Be very, very careful. I can hack into everything you folks are talking about. Hardwire everything. The swipes and stuff, like, I can hook this up to my phone right now and swipe, and I can steal all your credit cards.
Let's get him.
And that's not why I'm here, but, no, I mean, I'm dead serious, but please be very, very careful about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
I'm gonna move forward with a motion that's not on the agenda, but that came out of this conversation. A motion to instruct the interim borough manager to evaluate and report back on the necessary and recommended improvements for the electrical system at the Crafton Park.
Second.
Public comment? I hear no public comment. Any recommendations, discussion for council? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? Motion carries. Look forward to hearing back from you. All right, moving forward to public safety. A motion to approve St. Philip School to continue to utilize the community center as the emergency evacuation site.
So moved. And a second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? All right. I'm just going to go out line here on this discussion item since we just had the motion on the public safety. Key fob system list of committees, organizations permitted. With that, if they're gonna be, St. Philip's gonna be using the building, you don't think they need?
Drop it off to the office, but that's only for extreme emergencies, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they probably should have, my recommendation would be that every head of a committee that's, working through the borough council have a fob, the president, vice president of council have fob, every administrator, office personnel have a fob, police department have a fob, the mayor have a fob. And then, Mr. Kaczorowski, do you feel as if every member of public works should have a fob?
Yes.
Okay, so those are, so staff plus 2 members of council plus the heads of the committees and the fire department. So probably 1 or 2 people at the fire department should have these fobs. All right. All right, so I just wanted to have that open discussion on that. Crafton Ingram Shopping Center directional sign. This came up through the comp plan, came up when the developer came down. There was inclination that we'd be interested in that, and it's on the agenda, so.
Yeah, actually what happened, I got a phone call, an email, but a phone call from the owner of a shopping center, and she requested council to move forward with the sign. Your decision on what type of sign and design, and she'll pay for it.
Okay.
So the locations, you pick the locations, you pick the design, and the shopping center said that she's willing to pay for it. So.
Okay, great. Could you schedule like a 30-minute meeting with her or he to come up with some ideas, and maybe the intern could be part of that conversation?
Something like Ingram has on there, and is that what you're trying to match that one, or?
Yeah, and so you let us know when that is, and then council can come back, send emails to the manager on recommendations or reservations on what to look like. All right, progress there. Carlton Little Cougar Football and Cheerleading Association requested to practice at Crafton Park.
I asked, why is the park not being, the athletic field not being?
So,
Good, tell us,
yeah, it's a.
please tell
Are you in the
us.
audience to speak to that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Please come forward, your name and address.
Jim Kearns, 190 South Grandview. I am the league rep on the board for the Carlton Little Cougars football and cheerleading. We were made aware that the Crafton Athletic Field is no longer going to be available for use. We were given the impression that the property is to be sold by the school district. We were also told that the Crafton Field House will no longer be available for storage of our equipment. Through discussions with the athletic director at the high school, they did agree to let us play our games at the high school stadium, at Hundesweiger Stadium in Carnegie. However, the field that we have previously used for practice, which is the Crafton Athletic Field, and at times the high school practice field, are no longer available to us for practices. We typically practice 4 days a week until the beginning of school, and then we drop down to 3 days a week after the beginning of school, as well as games on Saturday. That runs end of July through late October.
Thank you. And
That, so, you guys will have to pardon my ignorance because I'm a little bit newer. You're talking about directly across the street from the shopping center on the left there?
Yes, behind the mini golf,
Yeah.
just off Steuben Street.
I saw people there though recently practicing? Is that still you guys, or no?
No, we haven't started practice yet this season. We were told that coming up this coming season, that field will no longer be available to us.
Oh, okay. So they're still using it now, then? Someone is?
Someone, yes, I do believe the
Baseball.
baseball, the high school baseball program is using it at this point. You know, in years gone by, years ago, we always had access to that athletic field, and we did, pardon me, we did use Crafton Park for practices years ago. When the Little Cougars organization decided to go to only Carlington residents instead of being open to people from other municipalities, the high school gave us access to the practice field at the high school. It wasn't really a good fit for us, so they put us back down at Crafton Athletic Field under the impression it would be our permanent home, to the point that we went out and we purchased field goal posts and made repairs to the scoreboard, and then it was sent down this year that would no longer be available to us.
Sir, so you were just dealing with the athletic director of the high school?
The president of our organization had a meeting with the athletic director, yes.
Okay.
And he was the one
And
that,
is 2018 and 19 programs going to be affected, or just 2019's
we were told that field will no longer be available for us to use.
immediately?
Yes, as of this season. We had to find somewhere else to practice.
We don't know anything about this at all? I mean,
Yeah.
do we know anything about this?
So, what,
Do you know anything about this?
I know very little. I know that the school district was approached by a entity, and that they can't share with us at this point who and what that entity wants to do down there. Through my advice to them is that council needs to know, because quickly we're finding that more community members know about what's going on or propose to go down there before council. And
Oh, I think we own that property at one time.
Uh-huh.
Crafton Borough definitely has part of the
Yes, sold
property
it for a
down.
buck.
We have that front part.
But
So he sold the other part to the school district.
They gave them.
If my understanding is correct, for dollars. And the intention was that would be a community field that,
yeah,
could be used by Cougars and whoever.
Yeah,
Baseball,
and-
soccer, St. Phillips uses it, I think, maybe, for soccer.
They used to, they don't have access to it now. They now play their games up at the seminary.
so from my
Don't we
understanding.
have anything to say about this, since we sold
So
it?
Well, and I personally didn't speak to the athletic director.
Yeah.
The president of our organization spoke to the athletic director at the high school. He was the one that, relayed that information to our board at our regular board meeting. That was the impression he was given, that field, is no longer to be used by us because they were talking about something.
There was some sort of agreement. It's probably been 40 years, 45 years maybe.
It was built of youth, the community, never to be built.
That's right, that's right.
Exactly.
So there may be a deed restriction, Mr. Amendola?
I hope so.
I do too.
Can't the solicitor,
So the solicitor, once we're engaged by the school district, this is our supposition, we're gonna have our solicitor take a look into it and be communication directly with the school district solicitor.
Right.
To make
I
sure
thought it
that
was in that lady's
we're
will.
whole.
and
Wasn't
free,
It's in the
freeze
lady's will.
for
The
the
lady
time
that,
being?
the lady that
Left the
owned all the
property.
property. Wasn't it in her will
Yeah,
I don't know.
that, yeah.
yeah. So moving forward, we've been approached by the school district president. That we're trying to figure out when they can come to our meeting, but we're going to be engaging our solicitor with their solicitor.
Correct.
And therefore, we can move forward and figure out what's going on, because at this point, this council doesn't know who, what, when, where, why.
Sure.
Obviously,
And as
this
far as-
is the first information that we've officially heard. We've heard things through the rumor mill. However, we have not officially received any type of notice for the solicitors to review. And from what I understand, the school district, the person or entity that they're dealing with has them in the agreement where they're not allowed to disclose that at this point to this council.
And what happens to the field, I do have interest in that in regards to where I'm a citizen, but as far as being a member of the Little Cougars board. I'm more concerned with where we're gonna practice.
Yes,
You know.
yeah.
Presumably you are a taxpayer, well, I know this.
Yes, and that's what I mean, I do have interest in it.
Probably
You
in
know,
the school
but-
district, so it might be worth a shot to start lobbying the school board as well, because
And
they're.
the way it was explained to me at our board meeting was, doesn't matter what happens with the field, we're not using it this year. You know what I mean, whether it's to be sold or negotiated or brought to you guys, I'm not trying to start any rumors or.
Well, he's just here to
or
see if
anything
he
like
can
that.
practice in the park.
We just want to see if we
If
can
we give
practice in
him
the park
permission
because
to
we're not
practice
allowed
in
to
the
do
park.
us.
They always
Yes,
did it
yeah,
anyway.
we can have a motion to,
Can we do that?
yes.
They used to practice on the girls' softball field.
Correct, the two softball fields and the hill that leads up to.
So with that, you know, to tamp down the rumor mill, we don't know exactly what's going on, you don't know exactly.
Sure, and I
what's
didn't mean to
going
start
on.
any rumors or concerns.
It's all right,
about what's
everybody's
happening
heard
in the field.
rumors, you know, through the rumor mill.
Right.
Everybody's heard bits and pieces, but we don't know the whole storyline.
Sure, and the long and the short of it is, we're not allowed to use that field this year.
Okay, well, we will address that through a motion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CIT to use the candy stand down there.
And that would be fantastic, if we could do that, absolutely. Because we do need somewhere to store our shoulder pads and helmets and all that as well.
All right, I'd just like to bring the meeting back to order so we can pull forward with a motion here. I'd like to have a motion to have the Carlton Little Cougar Football and Cheerleading Association request to practice at Crafton Park.
So moved. Second.
All right, any discussions or
Where
any
would they
concerns
practice,
with
where would
this?
they practice at, exactly?
It would be the two baseball fields and the hillside going up to Crafton
Sled
Boulevard.
riding hill.
The sled riding hill and the two baseball fields.
All right. Is there infrastructure, Mr. Kazarowski, that would be needed?
Right, the softball and football field.
Would there have to be an expense to the borough?
No, actually, I used to practice on those fields when I played for the Wolves.
So there's nothing, there's no investment?
No, no, investment, no.
He's still looking for those balls.
You guys could just take over, I mean, how do you access, can you access like the stuff that you have? left?
Well, as far as our equipment, we're still in the process of trying to find a new location to store all our equipment, because we do
That's kind of
have
important to practice.
quite a bit, you know,
No, I don't know
helmets,
the
shoulder
school.
pads. As far as practice equipment goes, we really don't have that much that needs to be hauled back and forth for daily use. We have enough coaches that
So-
do tackling dummies and shields, but the main concern with storage is shoulder pads, helmets, pom-poms,
Right,
the things that we've always kept in the field house.
so presumably there's no field house now, what were you thinking?
We're still working on that, we have no idea.
Okay, that's, I mean, that's.
Okay. So,
Ray Brogan said you could use that old concession stand down there. I talked to him a
Oh,
little bit,
okay.
so if you get the approval from this, you can use that.
Yeah, right.
so
We see
discussion,
him at the grocery store every
so discussion-wise, just on this subject of letting them use the field,
Sorry, I don't.
to have a vote
I never
in favor,
spend too much
all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
all
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, so we'll learn more and make plans. So moving forward with announcements. Would you like to make your announcement? Senior dinner?
The senior dinner will be March, May 19th, doors open at 5 o'clock. Stuffed chicken breast and magician for the entertainment.
Thank you. Yeah, so CIT Night at the Races, Saturday, May 19th, 2018, at the Knights of Columbus, doors open at 6 p.m., $15 for adult, $12 for 16 and over, horses $10. So it looks as if, Mr. Mayor, you've got some competition there. Nothing beats the fire department, but this should be a great event as well. So if you enjoyed the fire department's night at the races, I encourage you to take part in CAT night at the races as well. Crafton Community Farm, Saturday, May 19, 2018, summer planting from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Crafton Park. Rain date, May 26, 2018. Pool opens. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Pool, it's scheduled to open Saturday, May 26th. Hopefully everything, right now everything is looking good. We're moving forward. Water, the filter system, the staffing at a meeting down there at 4 o'clock with some of the staff to go over duties and responsibilities. So we're moving forward with that. Looks like May 26th will be a good day. Why not?
All right, I just wanted to, on behalf of council, give you a round of applause for all your hard work and everything you're doing to make this a wonderful pool season ahead of us.
And one question, the splash pad will be up and
Bench,
running?
the bench wall's already completed. The only thing left to do with it was to stain it. It doesn't really need to be stained, but I think part of the agreement was to stain it. So that's completed. They still have to come back and finish the top on the entranceway to the splash zone. And the contractor from the rain garden was scheduled to come in Tuesday and Wednesday to pave the parking lot. So that's, we'll see weather permitting and do the punch list from last year, 2017 paving program.
Thank you. On the Memorial Day celebration parade begins at 11 a.m. at the Ingram Borough Building to the Crafton Borough Building, led by the American Legion, Post 145. Hope to see everybody out there. Crafton Community Potluck held their last gathering on May 6, 2018. Due to the lack of volunteers, they will not continue to pursue this event any longer. Potlucks may take place in the future, but less frequently, maybe a couple times a year. So with that, just wanted to move on to an announcement that's not on the agenda, and it's a good segue for one of our residents who's going to be speaking here shortly. We had the community cleanup day through Waste Management. The tonnage came out to be 7 3/4 tons, so it was a good event, and we hope to see our residents use this service that the borough's providing, take advantage of any debris, things that are laying around the yard, and get the red up for the spring and summer season. So again, thank you everybody for your participation in that program. So without ado, I'd like to cede the floor to Susan during the additional citizen comments.
Hi, Susan Chekanowski, 1753 Bar Avenue. I was just wanted to ask if we could possibly cite Crafton Square 4 for the amount of garbage they have along right next to Serafino's. If you walk on East Crafton, because I'm crossing guard at the corner now, and you walk, and as long as I've lived in Crafton, there's been garbage in their bushes. But like if you walk from Serafino's up to the corner where I'm crossing guard, it's just full of weeds and garbage. It's disgusting. So if you're like, there's a lot of people that come down there to go to the busway, and I don't think they take care of that. I don't know who all owns the buildings there, but whoever it is not, they don't take care of that part of the building at all. The bushes are always overgrown, there's weeds, and there's tons of garbage from people, I guess, throwing containers from Serafino's or Circle Inn or whatever, coming up from the busway. And like all the other businesses down there, they take pretty good care. Like Woolworth's is spotless. A lot of them are, it's nice down there, like they all care. And I've been working with the owner of Serafino's down there to make the actual flower bed next to it a flower bed again. So if you go past there, you'll see I've like mulched it, it looks really good. I picked like 150 like cigarette butts out of it. It's really nice now. So that whole area is like, kind of like, that's just like the one, to me, that's like the one last eyesore on East Crafton, because East Crafton's pretty clean right now, all the way up to Crafton Boulevard, it's pretty clean. So that would just be the one thing I would like to recommend, that you guys either warn them or cite them or get them to come out and do something. Because when you're walking down there, it just doesn't fit in with how well everybody else is caring for their property.
Brownish building that it's behind.
So there's
the
the
building, what you said
historical,
there?
is it the
Yeah.
terminal building? What is it called on the end? There's a historical building and then Crafton Forest connected.
Okay.
And then if you go past that towards Serafino's and you look to your left, I mean, when the weeds are not there, you can really see the trash. But now the giant weeds have grown up and it's even worse, and they're starting to reach out into the sidewalk. And I just don't think, I don't know if they don't care, they just don't come and check it or what, but it's like an eyesore when you're walking to the busway or you're walking Crafton. And then over at the corner of Union and Sydney, there's also a building over there that used to be, I guess, the old Bell building, and now it's Sprint, and they have the same situation going on. Like all the landscaping around their property has garbage. I'm not sure it's ever been mulched. I don't know. That's not something that's our responsibility, but whenever they have garbage, it's an eyesore. And it's kind of off the beaten path, so you may not see it as much, but I walk over there a lot, and it's just it's gross. And they're business owners, you know, like in Crafton, so they should be taking care of the property. So that's just my, my observations, and I just would recommend for the council to kind of maybe cite them or push them towards taking a little bit better care of their property.
I would suggest Noble Avenue there, and I believe it's, is it White? And it's across from the AM/PM, and it's that house that the grass has grown up and trash is just thrown there. It's right on Noble.
Is it one?
And it's right where you're coming down, you know, yes, you're coming down Noble Avenue and you're turning left to go down under the underpass there. It's such an eyesore because it's something you just see as you're coming into Crafton. It's
Are you
one of
talking
the
about
worst.
like on Steuben or Noble?
No, it's not on Steuben,
I see.
it's right there on Noble, and it's catty corner to the AM/PM on Noble Avenue.
Okay.
The large piece of property is mowed, but the house next to
They
it,
just cut that.
They
I
cut
know
it
exactly,
today.
they just
Yeah.
cut it.
or whatever.
I called you about that.
That one, yeah, that one, that.
I guess my additional suggestion would be, or my question would be, what's going on with adding garbage cans? Because I can suggest 2 places that could use them now, which would be like Crafton Boulevard, starting where the guy likes to throw his Miller Lite pounders, all the way up Crafton Boulevard, up to where the extension is. We could use like 3 or 4 trash cans for people to toss their garbage. I pick it up every day, I'm getting tired of it. And then the end of Steuben,
Remember to put it on back. Those
well, there's little places in between the guide rails that you could put it,
two-
that the guy that likes to toss his cans would have
Two
somewhere.
to
to
one
put
are
it.
coming out of windows. I mean, I have the same problem on my street. I
Yeah.
could put 20 garbage cans out and I'll be picking litter up beside it.
So,
But you need where pedestrian traffic is, that's all.
Well, then, my other suggestion then would be like the part of Steuben up to about where the park is, because it's pretty clean from there up. There's always a ton of garbage down where like, there's the fork where Crafton Boulevard breaks off, and then Steuben goes up. And during the cleanup, we picked up 3 bags of garbage just between the corner there and like Duncan. It was
That's the bus
really
stop. That should be
bad.
the bus, that should be
Yeah.
the quarter for you.
It's the bus stop.
We're trying to move them out of there, that bus stop, and put it down into the,
But all the way
That's
on,
the
like,
part, but
on
that's-
this side going into Crafton, all the way up that sidewalk was garbage. It's gross. And I just went back 2 weeks after the cleanup, and there was another bag.
right?
Between like Duncan, between like the park and the corner there where it starts up from Crafton Boulevard, there's always just lots
The
of garbage.
insurance-
Going into
insurance.
Crafton, not going out for some
Yeah.
reason.
So in moving forward here, I just want to say thank you for all your volunteerism and everything that you're doing with the Shade Tree Commission. And I wanted to let you know and the public know that next week, we are excited to have our CMU intern start. And this week, Ingram's interns starting. And through this joint program, we're going to be working on our planning, zoning, code enforcement. And I hope to see you, members of Shade Tree Commissions, this council, in conjunction with Ingram Council, to come with the criteria and the plan of attack to help us with plans moving forward. So I think we're gonna get a lot done. We're gonna be collecting data and coming up with data sets to help us and justify some of the additional resources that are gonna be needed. So I really encourage you and everybody that's on the committee to come down to the borough this summer and meet with our interns, because I think we're gonna make a lot of progress and it's gonna help out the entire community. So I really hope to see you down there. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you. So,
Hey, Borough, you can't cut the grass in front of the putt putt. It's pretty high down there.
We cut it twice, I seen it, on the curb, between the curb and the sidewalk, yeah.
It's half done by the test.
It's high on both, we were on it, I mean, if it rained 2 people every day, it's a little tough, but we did cut it. I seen it today though.
And then there's a metal curb outside of Circle.
Yes.
Right when you come out the police back door. It's sticking up. It's been kind of a,
Angle iron, angle, okay,
Yeah.
we'll get that.
really fell over it the other day.
We did.
President.
all right. Thank you,
Phil?
Annie.
I have a quick question for Rob. Could you please check
Well,
into
do-
that?
do you
Oh,
want-
do I have to?
Yes.
Oh,
Policy and procedure.
Thanks.
Kathleen Watson, 74 Fountain Street. I wanted to know about the sidewalk program. I mean, you really want to purchase that property beside us, and from what we understood, they came out, well, I don't know if Crafton has got the applications yet, they were supposed to come out at the beginning of May, and you have to have them in by August.
Did you work with Prisma? I know Prisma, we're working with one person on Crafton Boulevard who was looking for it. Have you talked to them? It's a
I
long
talked to,
process.
is that the secretary?
Yes.
I talked to her, and she said she found something in some old papers and called this number, that she was waiting to hear something back.
We started the application process for the one property on Crafton Boulevard.
Oh, I want to take application.
Why don't you give a couple more, stop down, and we'll get it going.
Okay,
All right?
all right, thanks.
Well, it's 8:38, we had a very, oh, do one more, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm thinking
I apologize for taking up your time.
oh,
102 Haldane. I moved here last July, and I feel very welcome here. And I appreciate you folks listening to me. Two things. One is, the community here is fantastic. I have to say that. I'm a Philly transplant, so I moved out here 2 years ago, and I love it here, and we're looking to buy. Secondly, well, actually, let me get to my main point. You have a great baseball program here, but T-ball seems to be sloughed aside. Is there anything we can do? And seriously, being a American Legion High School Division 3A umpire and going back down to T-ball, is there anything we can do with that field that we use for the T-ball kids? I will personally mow it if possible, just to encourage baseball and sports in general. Because you can convert it to soccer in the fall, or in midsummer. Anything I can do, or I can help you folks do, because I think the problem I see, I don't want to see the youth here congregate around, and I hate to pick on this Sunoco, but, or the bus stops, congregate around. We need to get the youth involved more, and I don't see that here right now. My father was a borough council, or he was president of the council of a borough smaller than this, and he got the teenagers involved, and that cut crime like you wouldn't believe. And that was right outside of Philadelphia. If any of you folks want to take a side discussion, I will work with you folks. Sports is my thing, but I will do anything else, like organize team dances. I know that's off the wall, but do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, we appreciate you coming forward with your enthusiasm for the community and the kind words, and we will help you, with offline conversation, how we can plug you in and how you can bring your energy to our organizations and possibly start an organization. So I really appreciate you stepping forward, and I look forward to talking to you after the meeting, so thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
that's all I'm asking, all right?
Thank you, sir,
No
and I'm glad that you enjoyed the community.
And Rob
Oh.
is looking into the field.
Yep, I'll have to talk to you too about volunteer to cut.
But seriously, you know, get the teams involved, because otherwise it'll collapse.
We have a lot of youth to come into the summer program to work the pools, the concession stands, and actually public works. So we have 33 employees that actually work at the pool. There's another 7 that come into the public works department, what we'll be doing just what you're saying, cutting grass and maintaining the parks. So there's a youth involvement that, once school gets out, and I'm looking forward to that too.
And actually, just one final thing. Problem children, put them to work.
Thank you for your recommendation.
Absolutely.
With that being said, I'd like to move to adjourn meeting.